shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
What's up, Armchair Army? This is Joshua with Armchair MMA, back again with our 14th iteration. On this episode, we're going to be doing a UFC 277 preview. We're also going to talk about the fight cards that happened between UFC 276 and 277. But cheers to us, guys. Now, this card, 277, is in Dallas. I'm actually going to be going to it. If I'm not mistaken, this year when they did it in Austin, Houston, and Dallas is the first time in the promotion's history where they've done all three locations in Texas in a single calendar year. And me and my boys have gone to them all. So, it's the Texas trifecta is what we've been calling it. We're pretty fucking pumped. I really like going to the fights live. It's always a good time. I enjoy myself. There can be some drunken belligerence, but it comes with the territory whenever you're going to watch fights. So, just know what you're getting into and steel yourself. Get ready. The guy who goes in to defuse the bomb always gets himself ready before he goes, right? So just get yourself ready for what you're going to experience out there. But 277 looks like a ton of fun, man. Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes. This is a rematch, right? Juliana Pena turned the entire mixed martial arts world on its head whenever she stunned Amanda Nunes, choked her in the second round, gassed her out, beat her up, had a beautiful looking jab. Just looked amazing. Looked like she could take Amanda's punches, was winning a lot of the exchanges with a stiff jab, and looked great. I thought, obviously she looked great. She beat the Lioness, who's the consensus GOAT of women's mixed martial arts. So if you beat her, obviously you're going to look great. Let's see. So, she lost Sharenda Moname, beat Sarah McCann, beat Amanda Nunes. Now she's back fighting Amanda Nunes. If I'm being really frank, I hate to do this to the girl, but I'm going to probably pick Amanda Nunes in this fight. I forgot what a beast Amanda Nunes is. She is frankly on a different level than most. And I think that loss is going to be like the first thing that's really kind of shook her up and gotten her to reorient herself in a really long time. And so, I reckon she's got her own training facility now, which is really cool. And she's just entirely dedicated to her craft, is what it seems. It's definitely the narrative that they're creating on all the promotional material that the UFC is publicizing so far. 5 rounds in Dallas, Texas. We're going to see how it goes. Obviously, at this point, if Juliana wins, again, I'm not going to be surprised, right? You can't be surprised if she goes in there and does what she's already done once before. I just do believe that Amanda Nunes is going to be in a slightly different headspace. Juliana Pena was even talking in the promotional material leading up to the first fight that she was aware that Amanda Nunes hadn't necessarily been committing the appropriate time to her training, that she was busy setting up a farm with her family and shit like that. Juliana kind of knew that Amanda hadn't been in the gym like she was supposed to have been in order for her to maintain her status as champion, whereas now I do not believe that's the case. I believe that Amanda has an entire facility entirely dedicated to her and that she's up there immersing herself in her craft so that she can avenge this loss. It's what it seems like, and I think that's going to be a really, really, really difficult Amanda Nunes to defeat. So, I'm going to pick Amanda Nunes. I'm sorry, Juliana, for the disrespect. I don't mean to disrespect. I just got to speak my honest truth, and I hope you prove me wrong. So I guess that's the honest truth of it. My head says Amanda, my heart says Juliana. So we can settle with that. The next fight on the card is Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara France, and I believe this is for a interim title. Yeah, I think that Davison is in some way out, and so yeah, these two are fighting for the like pretend strap so that they can effectively have like a solidified, guaranteed number one contender spot after the fight. Brandon Moreno in his last few fights, I mean, his last few fights have all been fucking Davis and Figueredo, right? He beat Jussier Formiga, beat Brendan Royval, had a draw with Davis and Figueredo, beat Davis and Figueredo with a rear naked choke, and then lost a unanimous decision to Davis and Figueredo. And so, but I mean, before that, I mean, it's well, and he beat Kai Kara France with a unanimous decision back at UFC 245. So this is a rematch. This has got some like extra sauce on it, right? They were both young guys at that time. I mean, this is 2019. That's 3 years ago. They're both going to be developed as mixed martial artists since then and there, right? You would hope that in 3 years these guys would get better. 2.5 years, however long. Kai Kara France's most recent record is he beat Oscar Askarov in a unanimous decision on the Blades versus Dawkins card back in March. He TKO'd Cardi Garbrandt in like a really emphatic fashion at UFC 269. And then he KO'd Rogero Bontorin, excuse me, at UFC 259. And then he lost to Brendan Royval back at 253, and he beat Tyson Nam in a fight night in 2020, and then we get all the way back to the loss at Brandon Moreno. So he took a loss against Brandon Moreno in September of 2020. I believe Brandon Moreno also fought Brendan Royval. So he beat Brendan Royval. He TKO'd Brendan Royval. So he has TKO'd a guy who Kai Kara France lost to, and he also won the head-to-head back in the day. So probably gonna have to pick Brendan on that one. You know, it's just like kind of the choice you make when you add all that up together and you consider it and you chew on it. So Fun's choice in this one's probably going to be Brandon Moreno. But again, I always hate making picks because I feel as though I'm disrespecting the other fighter who, isn't getting my nod. But at the end of the day, I know that Kai Kara France is an absolute savage, and I know that he, isn't necessarily out of this fight at all by any means. He definitely could do some amazing stuff and win. He's a super exciting fighter. He's training over there with like Eugene Behrman and them in the same gym as Israel Adesanya, and where Volkan Ozdemir comes in to train at very often. And so, you're a product of your environment. He's surrounded by excellent coaches and amazing talent, and so he's gonna be good. You can pretty much bank on that. See what the next fight is. Okay, so we have Derek Lewis versus Sergey Pavlovich. And I don't know if I necessarily really like this fight for Derek. I know that Sergey the man's only got one loss. I mean, he's 3-1 in the UFC. He lost back in 2018 to Alistair Overeem. He then KO'd Marcelo Golm and TKO'd Maurice Green. Those guys are both good, but neither of them are like the over the top talent. They're not like the guys that are gonna punch his way into the title contender spot at all. But he did knock TKO Shamil Abdurakhimov, which is a much more impressive win and a step up in competition. And that's why he's getting Derek Lewis now. And so the thing is that he's got lots of punching power, right? I mean, almost all of his wins outside of the UFC have been KOs and TKOs. And so he's a big puncher. And he's only lost to Alistair Overeem, who is a legend. There's never any shame in losing to Alistair Overeem. I'm not really prepared to hold that against him too much. And it's in Texas. I know that it seems like Derek has a hard time performing in front of the hometown crowd, which again, Derek's from Houston. It isn't necessarily his home crowd, so he may not be feeling that pressure as much, but it seems like Derek does not bide well with lots and lots of pressure, and it seems like he gives himself lots of extra pressure anytime he's fighting in front of the hometown crowd. I actually wish they quit doing it to him. He's spoken pretty frankly about how the added pressure of fighting in front of a home crowd kind of gives him trouble. So I wish that this is in Russia, where he could go and just steal the show and do amazing Derek Lewis things. Now I'd maybe actually feel a little bit better about picking Derek Lewis. But I'm from Texas, and so I am literally obliged to pick Derek Lewis, and I refuse to do wrong by that man. He's a national treasure of Texas. I'll cherish him as such. So Derek Lewis by knockout, something amazing. You know how it goes. Sergey wins. I'm not going to be terribly shocked. See what the next fight on the card is. So Alexander Pantoja and Alex Perez at flyweight. This is a really fun fight. Where is our man ranked at? He's number 4 in the flyweight rankings right now, and so this is like a big one. He's beaten Brendan Royval most recently. He beat Manel Kape. He lost to Askar Askarov, which was a unanimous decision. That's not surprising. That's Askar's MO. He doesn't lose in unanimous decisions, guys. He beat Matt Schnell, who is no slump. He lost to Davison Figueiredo. He beat several guys, Wilson Reyes, Lukas Sasaki. He beat Brendan Moreno back in the day in May of 2018 at the fight night. Maia versus Usman won a unanimous decision against Brendan Royval. So he's ranked number 4. He's on a 2-fight win streak. He's got a win over Brendan Moreno. This guy could be trouble. This guy could be trouble in the division if he gets a nice win in this one against Alex Perez. Let's see where Alex is ranked. Alex is currently ranked number 6 in the flyweight division, and he's coming off a loss to Davison Figueiredo, of all people, back in 2020. Been a little time since he's been in the octagon. Well, that might be bad. But he TKO'd Juicy Formega with leg kicks. That's violent. That hurts. That hurts. It hurts to watch that stuff. He arm triangled Jordan Espinosa. He got a unanimous decision over Mark De La Rosa. He took a TKO loss to Joseph Benavidez. But, and he came in off the Contender Series. Wow. Man, it's crazy. I forget the Contender Series has been going on for that long. I'm getting old. Time's flying by, bro. They were doing the Contender Series in 2017, bro. I know I've seen it. I've been watching all the Contender Series shit for forever. So, damn. But I mean, we're talking anaconda choke, TKOs, KOs, punches, arm triangles, TKOs with leg kicks, guillotines. So guillotines, anacondas, arm triangles. So it seems like he really likes the chokes and the like blood chokes. It's been a little while since he fought. The last time he fought, he lost to Davison Figueiredo, which is top level competition. But there's no telling how this gentleman's going to act. So he's lower ranked. It's been longer since he fought. Homie's on a 2-fight win streak. Been fighting recently. This guy's on a 1-fight skid. Hasn't fought since November 21st of 2020. I am going to have to probably go with Alexander Pantoja. But these guys are both explosive, fun guys at flyweight. It could go anyway. There's really no telling. And so then we have Magomed Ankalaev and Anthony Smith. This is a fun fight at light heavyweight. You know, Magomed can be kind of boring. I mean, we're talking 3 straight unanimous decisions in a row against Nikita Krylov, Volkan Ozdemir, and Thiago Santos. So it's like all UDs. But he's got, he's got a head kick knockout over Ion Cutelaba, and I think that was the one where Ion tried to say that he was faking it and was trying to bait him in, and so they gave him an immediate rematch, and then he actually KO'd him, not even a TKO. But wow, I mean, this guy is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-1 in the UFC, and his one loss is against Paul Craig. And Paul Craig is a tough test for anybody, and it looks like they were fighting in England, which is effectively home turf for Paul Craig. And it was his first fight, and I don't know if it was Paul Craig's first fight in the UFC, but it was definitely Magomed's. And Paul Craig got him in a triangle choke. That's typical Paul Craig activity. So nothing to really discount here, right? I don't feel like there's any big blazing holes, right? You got caught with a triangle choke by a dude who strangles people for a living and does it very, very effectively. But I mean, performance of the night against Ion Cutelaba, performance of the night against Dolchal Longabongola, Lunguimbala. I have no idea how to say that. I'm very sorry. It's a very difficult name for an ill-educated American. But another performance of the night against Marcin Prichinho. So, it's like you never know what you're going to get. He's got 3 performance of the nights and 3 warring unanimous decisions. So, he's going to do what he needs to win, and if he can make it exciting, he's going to. Anthony Smith is a well-seasoned veteran, so I doubt that he's going to give him very much. I mean, right now, what's our man ranked at here? Right now, Anthony Smith is ranked number 5 in the light heavyweight rankings, so it's a big step up for him. He's got 3 straight wins, a submission, a TKO due to doctor stoppage, and a rear naked choke. So a triangle choke, a rear naked choke, and a doctor stoppage TKO. He lost to Alexander Rekic, who is a beast on the come up. He lost to Glover, who's literally the fucking champ, was the champ up until Yuri Prochazka beat him. So, I mean, this is a very interesting fight. Had to pick it. I'm going to pick Magomed Ankalaev. I feel like he's on the come up right now, big time on the come up. I feel like he fights really smart, even if it comes out boring, and I think that he's going to do exactly what he needs to do in a cold, mechanical way to win a mixed martial arts contest against Anthony Smith. If it turns into a dogfight brawl and it's a fight, not a mixed martial arts contest, Anthony Smith's gonna whoop that ass. Anthony Smith's got big power, he's scrapped with his chokes and stuff, but I feel like Magomed's one of those guys who's got that ridiculous discipline, who's gonna do exactly what he needs to in an egoless way and not get caught in something that he doesn't need to. And I think that the fight with the Bear Jew probably gave him a big wake-up call. I can't just do what I want. These guys have skill sets where they can win right now. I don't think that he's going to make the same mistake as he did against the Bear Jew back in the day, and that's going to be why he wins. So, sorry, Anthony Smith, you're my boy, big fan. Hope you prove me wrong. That's a fact. You could just summon this cup from off screen. Let's see what else is happening on this card. Paulo Costa versus Luke Rockhold got canceled. It's either because Paulo Costa's fat or Luke is injured. One of the two. Which, look at me. I'm fucking fat. And so I get to talk shit about people being fat. Make no mistake about it. I'd be like, oh, you don't work out. I do work out. I just eat lots of carbs. I was actually 500 pounds at one point. So walking around at just under 300 feels pretty alright. Alex Morono versus Matthew Semmelsberger. Welterweight fight. That'll be fun. Drew Dober versus Rafael Alves. Drew Dober's been a lot of fun on his last couple fights. And so it's going to be a fun fight. Dontel Mays versus Hamdi Abouabhab. I am unfamiliar. He's 5-0. Doesn't have a picture up, so sorry. I don't know him. Jakar Close versus Rafa Garcia. I mean, this is a good fight. Jakar Close is really, really good, and I'm happy to see him fighting. I hate that he's on the prelims, but, go him. I mean, there's some early prelims, but nothing that I really want to talk about. And that's effectively the preview for 277. We are going to talk about some other cards real quick, but one bit of news that I want to talk about is that Nate Diaz is finally booked, and it's an assassination attempt, as Dan Hardy put it. They're putting him in there against Chimaev, who is like young, hungry beast, skill set that doesn't necessarily line up in a friendly way for Nate. It's just not a friendly matchup. And definitely seems like they're trying to set Chimaev up, right? Like they're trying to give Chimaev a fight with a big star that they think he can win so that he can go on and do big things and be a cash cow for the UFC. And they're just going to throw Nate to the meat grinder and bucket. Whatever happens to him after happens, whatever. They don't really give a shit. They know he wants out. And so it definitely seems like maybe not the most pleasant thing. But knowing how Nate is typically operated, Nate's definitely of the mind that he's going to whoop that ass and that he's going to steal all that thunder, right? Like, if he wins, he's going to blow the fucking roof off the world, just like he did when he beat Conor. People forget that Nate is that dude who beat Conor. He won the Ultimate Fighter back in the day. Homie has been winning unwinnable fights for his whole career, and you cannot count the guy out. If there's ever a dude who's had a puncher's chance, just look back on that Leon Edwards fight. Leon won the fight, dude. He won every round of the fight. Probably even won the 5th round. The only thing that anyone remembers is that Nate Diaz stung him in the 5th round and had him. And that's what people love about Nate Diaz, man, is that if it's no holds barred, fight to infinity, fight to the death, Nate's going to get you. Nate's going to get you. And everyone knows that. And so he's like a Terminator, man. But again, I don't think that the Chimaev matchup is necessarily very friendly. I don't think it's going to necessarily go his way. My head picks Chimaev, my heart picks Nate. Either way, it's going to be good for the UFC. They're going to get lots of money. Alright, so switching on over to the Blades versus Aspinall? Yeah, is that the most recent set of fights? Yes, Blades versus Aspinall. Here we are. So, let's get back to Blades versus Aspinall. This was a fun card. Really, really fun card, man. England turned out. Those guys really love the sport. Therefore, I really love them. Gang, gang. We're all here under the mixed martial arts umbrella. And I'm glad that that whole entire country is being friendly to the sport as a whole. The main event, man, crazy. It seems like several main events here recently have kind of gone this way. But Curtis Blades got a first round TKO in 15 seconds. Tom Aspinall threw a leg kick. It seemed to land effectively, but it seemed like he was a little off balance. Maybe he was a little too far forward, and he was like he was falling backwards. And whenever he put his foot back down to kind of catch himself, it blew something in his knee. I did a little reading before I recorded the podcast and tried to see if I could find anything on what exactly happened, and there still aren't any official reports that I was able to put my hands on in terms of what happened to Tom Aspinall's knee. But what I do know happened to it is that he fucked it up and he couldn't continue fighting, and Curtis Blades got the win in front of Tom Aspinall's home crowd. And man, you know, the risk-reward benefit on leg kicks, I don't know if it's there. I mean, Anderson Silva turned his leg into spaghetti. Chris Weidman turned his leg into spaghetti. Tom Aspinall just blew his knee up like a fucking grenade went off in there. Yeah, man, the leg kicks are rough. I mean, Derek Lewis, I ain't never thrown a leg kick ever again after he saw what happened to Chris Weidman. And so, it's rough, man. Like, guys are legit taking, like, career-delaying / career-ending injuries over these fucking leg kicks. And it's typically the guys delivering the leg kicks that are taking the worst injuries. I've never seen someone take a leg kick and it just snap their shit, except Conor McGregor. Maybe some fanboys upset about that, but he got kicked and then his leg snapped. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Sorry. Fucker should have ate his wheeze with extra calcium milk. But Curtis Blades, on a tear, man, got a unanimous decision over Jairzinho Rosenstring, TKO'd Chris Dawkins, TKO'd Tom Aspinall, lost to Derek Lewis, but then had 4 wins in a row, and then right then had a loss to Francis, and then had 6 wins in a row, and then lost to Francis before that. And so, I mean, come on, dude. His first fight in the UFC was against Francis Ngannou, and it was a doctor stoppage. What a motherfucking welcome fight to the UFC, my dude. And then to win 6 in a row, and then just to lose to Francis again, and then win 4 more. Homie won 10 fights in a row to people who weren't named Francis Ngannou until he ran into Derek Lewis. And then he's won 3 straight more. And so the guy's great. I mean, what he did to Alistair Overeem with them elbows was some of the most vicious shit I've ever seen in my life. So he's a threat, man. But I mean, the guys in front of him are Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou, guys who have knocked him out. Francis has taken him out twice, and Derek. I love what Curtis Blades had to say whenever they asked who hit harder, Francis Ngannou or Derek Lewis, and he said that he was coherent the entire time after getting punched by Francis Ngannou, but when he got hit by Derek Lewis, he woke up in an ambulance, and so he knows who hits harder, and I think that you can kind of reach the conclusion on your own based on what he just said. And so, I don't know, I'm just a big Derek Lewis Lone Star State jock rider, so anytime I get to hear that he punches harder than Francis Ngannou, I'm going to be like, oh, my pussy's juicy. But let's see what's up with Tom Aspinall real quick. I mean, so dude's on a tear, right? I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight wins in the UFC. TKO'd Jake Collier, TKO'd Alan Boudreaux, submitted Andrei Arlovsky, TKO'd Sergey Spivak, submitted Alexander Volkov, and then blew his knee out against Curtis Blades. So he's currently ranked number 6. He's got to recover his knee. He's going to come back and he's going to have to fight somebody. I mean, there are guys like Tai Tuivasa, rematch with Curtis Blades. Chris Dawkins fights, but Chris Dawkins has taken a couple L's. But if Sergey Pavlovich wins against Derek Lewis, that could be a fun fight. But I mean, we're gonna see how long it takes. I mean, the guy might never fight again. You know, when it comes to this knee shit, he might have just blew everything out, and that might be the last we ever see of him. I really hope that's not the case. This is my guy. I'm a big jock rider. I have him marked down as a future champion. So that's not what I'm hoping for. I'm just speaking frankly on the severity of the situation. I really, really hope he comes back, and I really, really hope to see him with gold wrapped around his waist at some point. Jack Hermanson won a unanimous decision against Chris Curtis. It was really one-sided the entire time. It was a very atypical performance out of Jack Hermanson, right? Granted, he'd been training for a Darren Till fight, and Darren Till had to step out, and Chris Curtis stepped in on short notice, and good on him. But typically, Jack Hermanson's like a guy who like comes forward, goes through you, body work, high guard, straight punches down the middle, push you up against the cage, beat you up, throw you on the ground, like just always all over you, always smothering you. And he was like backing up and counterpunching this whole fight, which was definitely not what I was expecting. I don't think it was what Chris Curtis was expecting either. And you could tell that Chris Curtis was like very visibly frustrated with the situation. It's like flipping off Jack Hermanson and stuff. And not necessarily like that, but I do understand the frustration when you're fighting a guy who's just like laying you the entire time. But Jack Hermanson, let's see what he's been up to. I mean, he's kind of salty, man. He just won against Chris Curtis, but he had lost against Sean Strickland in a split decision. He beat Edmund Shabazian back in May of 2021. He lost to Marvin Vettori back in December of 2020. He beat Kelvin Gastelum and before that in July of the same year, and he lost to Jared Cannonier. But before that, he had 4 wins in a row. But I mean, so he's lost to Jared Cannonier, beat Kelvin Gastelum, lost to Marvin Vettori, beat Evan Shamazian, lost Sean Strickland. I mean, there's no one in that list who isn't in the top 5 that he just lost to. Sean Strickland was number 4. I think he may have dropped out of the top 5 after getting knocked out, starched by Alex Pereira. But he was definitely in the top 5 for a minute. Marvin Vettori's like a top 3 guy, maybe, I don't know the exact rankings, I'm not going to look it up. And Jared Cannonier, I mean, just lost to the champion. So these are all guys who have challenged for the belt. Jared challenged for the belt, and Marvin challenged for the belt, and Sean just lost in a title eliminator fight. And so it's not like these guys are scrubs. And, he's not going anywhere. It's a little salty. He's up at the top of the rankings right now. Where's he ranked right now? He's doesn't say right here. Let's check the other spot. So Jack Hermanson's number 8 currently. So this is the number 8 versus number 9 fight. So Sean dropped down to number 7. Alex Pereira jumped all the way up to number 5. So Jack Hermanson, I mean, a fun fight could be like Derek Brunson, but Derek Brunson's on a hot streak right now. He might be trying to catch his rocket ship back up to Israel. Marvin Vettori, who could be a potentially fun fight for him to rematch. Jared Cannonier just came off a loss, be a fun rematch. But again, he's like win-loss, win-loss. Like usually you get rematches when you've won a couple fights in a row, and then like, oh shit, okay, cool, let's see. Paulo Costa, I don't know if he's ever making weight again. And so, like, up above him, it's either guys he's lost to or guys who are challenging for the title. I mean, Robert Whittaker's there, but I don't know if you get to fight Robert Whittaker if you just want to fight against a guy who came in on short notice as the number 8 guy. So, he may have to fight like an Andre Muniz or a Dricus Duplessis or, someone like that, do a little gatekeeping. We're going to see. He's a good fighter, though, man. I'd love to see him fight someone in the bottom third of the top 15, or maybe someone on the come up, so that he could have a fight against someone who isn't such a fucking shark and get his, another Chris Curtis fight. Let him get another win. Let him kind of build his brand a little bit, build it up a little bit, see what we can spin. Paddy Pimblett, dude's a beast. He teabagged Jordan Levitt just like he said he was going to. Beautiful submission, a little over halfway through the second round. Dude looked great. He looked great. Is he ranked at all right now? I'm not entirely certain, but I mean, could you imagine him fighting someone like, was he at 55 now? Yeah, he was a featherweight and he moved up to 55. I mean, could you imagine him fighting like an Islam Makhachev? I just don't think that he's got that level of core strength to bang with the biggest guys in this division. But I mean, I might be wrong. I haven't seen him against the top of the division. I've only seen him against the Jordan Levitts of the division, so I don't know exactly how big he is standing next to Islam Makhachev or Beneil Dariush. I don't know, what type of core strength he's really working with. If he can bang in the grappling against the very, very, very top of the 55ers, then he's a real trouble. He's big time trouble. But I feel like there are guys at the top of 55 who are going to have good enough wrestling to negate his jiu-jitsu, and it's going to be down to the stand-up. And he's got good stand-up. But I think it's going to not be like as over the top in his favor. I mean, he KO'd Luigi Vendramini, and he submitted Rodrigo Vargas after hurting him on the feet. But Jordan Levitt, he didn't really hurt on the feet. Jordan Levitt looked like he was ready to bang with him on the feet, and then he just got to the back body triangle. All three performances of the night, though, like performance of the night after performance of the night after performance of the night. 2 times he's fought in London in front of his home crowd. So I mean, the guy's a lot of fun. Make no mistake about it, he's a lot of fun. And I mean, has he ranked at all? I don't believe he's ranked. Let's take another look at the other resource that I have real quick. Yeah, so he's not in the top 15 right now. So he could definitely. Wow, guys like Jalen Turner, Tony Ferguson, Armand Sakurian. Boy, let me tell you, lightweight is a fucking shark tank right now. Woo. I don't want him fighting any of these people. But he's going to have to. We're going to see where he lands. Maybe a Jalen Turner, maybe a Dan Hooker. Maybe a Tony Ferguson on the way down, start gatekeeping the top 15. Demiris Magulov's there, but he's kind of on the come up. You don't like to have your 2 guys on the come up, knocking each other off. You want to build their brands independently so that they can be bigger down the road. At least if I'm running the UFC. Let's see what happened next. Oh, Nikita Krylov beat the shit out of Alexander Gustafsson. Alexander Gustafsson looked slow and like he was chinny. And that is a bad mix when you're fighting big old boys at 205. DC, I think, said it best. It's time to hang those gloves up, man. Road miles. Too many miles. Next was... Oh, well, let's look at what's next for Nikita Krylov. Is Nikita ranked at all? It's number 11 in the UFC at light heavyweight right now. I mean, it's salty. We're talking win, loss, win, loss. In his last, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. His last fights, and he's 3-4 in his last 7. But I mean, he beat Alexander Gustafsson, which maybe is a little sus with him coming back and not having fought for so long. But he lost to Paul Craig, who just lost to Volkan Ozdemir, so that gives you a little bit of perspective on how good Paul Craig is. Paul Craig's good, but up here at the top, he's, middle of the pack at the very top. He lost to Magomed Ankalaev. There's nothing to scoff at about that. Magomed's a beast. He beat Johnny Walker, which is fun. He lost to Glover, who's was just the champ. Like before Glover was the champ, I might have shit on him for that one. Like, you lost to old man Glover. Like, no, man, Glover's a fucking tank, and it is what it is. He beat Ovid St. Preux, and he lost to Jan Blachowicz. So, I mean, he lost to 2 guys who held the belt, and then he lost to 2 of, the top competitors right now. And he managed to send an up-and-comer Johnny Walker packing. He managed to send a vet OSP packing, and he managed to send a vet Alexander Gustafsson packing. So, we're going to see what happens next, man. I mean, he's number 11. He's a light heavyweight. There's people like Ryan Spann, Jamal Hill, Volkan Ozdemir, Dustin Jacoby, Jimmy Crute. These are all potentially fun fights for him. So we'll see what they wind up deciding to do. Next is Molly McCann, who got a first round TKO over Hannah Goldie. It was exceptional. There was a moment where like they were kind of boxing and Hannah was backing up and Molly kind of like pushed her into the cage and timed Hannah bouncing off the cage and threw a spinning elbow at her, and it really hurt her, and then she just swarmed her, hit her with several big shots. I think it was the left down the middle that wound up really dropping her, with left hook, something like that. Something short and tight is the bottom line. And Molly's so much fun, dude. She hopped out of the cage, ran around, jumped into Prezzy's arms, was cage side and in the cage whenever Patty won. Molly Meatball. Come on, dude. You're fun. You're a fun character. She's a really fun girl. I bet she's a fucking hoot to have a pint with. Fucking call me. Whatever. Light heavyweight, there was Volkan Ozdemir beat Paul Craig, as we had mentioned earlier. Let's see if there's anything on the preliminary card I want to talk about. Mark DeCasey beat Damir Hezevich, which Mark is at a new gym here in his last couple fights, and he's like wrestling, and like he's super athletic, super strong, and so he's able to do it very effectively. And then once he like kind of wears guys out and they get into these stand-up exchanges, he's Mark DeCasey. He's a fucking badass. So like he's looking great in the stand-up, and he's getting. And the difference between him and the guys he's fighting looks greater because he's zapping their energy whenever he wrestles them first for a little while. So, really, really proud of Mark. He's got obviously got a really good team behind him. He's being smart and mixing up all the tools that he has in his toolbox effectively to get to wins. Really, really happy for him to see him moving in the right way. Markon Amirkhani lost TKO to Jonathan Pierce. Good on Jonathan Pierce. I was pulling for Markon. Fun fighter, but it's Jonathan Pierce's time. He's on the come up. It's that simple. Alright. I reckon that's enough on that one. The next one is going to be Ortega versus Rodriguez. Let's see if I can find that one. Here we go. Ortega versus Rodriguez. And again, remember literally just the literal last card that we were just talking about with Blades versus Aspinall, how Aspinall blew his knee apart in 15 seconds into the first round. Brian Ortega ripped his shoulder apart 4 minutes into their fight. With Yair Rodriguez, Yair was like going for an arm bar, and Brian Ortega went to yank his arm out, and it just popped it out of socket or something. And he was in a lot of pain. Immediately fell back, holding it, wincing it. Yair immediately recognized it and didn't continue fighting like a solid sportsman. And they called the fight immediately, right then and there. And I know that Brian has had surgery on that shoulder a couple times. And I think that he even said that he's fearful that he may have to get a third surgery on that shoulder. And so that's rough. You hate to hear that. It's a tough sport, man. You have a guy in Yair Rodriguez literally trying to rip your arm off, and you tried to yank it out of there and hurt yourself, man. And that's mixed martial arts. It's tough. It's a tough sport. I really sincerely hope for a speedy recovery for Brian Ortega. I mean, he's at the tip of the spear. He's ranked number 3, right? At the tip of the spear. But I mean, he's salty, right? Lost to Yair, lost to Volkan Ozdemir, won against Chan Sang Jung, lost to Max Holloway, and then it's like all wins after that, right? But like up here at the top, it's kind of salty. Got TKO'd against Max Holloway, hurt him so bad that the doctor had to stop it. Won a unanimous decision against Chan Sang Jung, but I mean, we saw what Alexander Volkanovski did to Chan Sang Jung. I think that Chan Sang Jung's a little old school, and is just getting passed up by the new breed. But then lost to Alexander Volkanovski, so there's no shame in losing to Max or Alexander Volkanovski at all. And then the loss to Yair Rodriguez, TKO, doctor stoppage, shoulder injury. I'm not prepared to really hold it against him. I mean, you can't just keep getting injured, right? Like if this fucking happens in his next fight again, then it's like, bruh, this can't keep happening. You gotta look after your health, right? You can't just be 60 and not be able to use your right arm anymore because you keep blowing it apart doing mixed martial arts. I want better for him. What was the next fight that happened? Michelle Waterson lost to Amanda Lemos in the second round. About 2 minutes in, she got submitted. I'm always pulling for the karate hottie. You know, she's a fucking bombshell mega dime piece. So I believe that she used to be a ring girl. Like, she's got a fun story, man. But lost via guillotine choke to Amanda Lemos. Amanda Lemos is 1 and 6 in her last fight, in her last 7, and 2 and 6 in her last 8. So she's 2 and 6 in the UFC entirely. And I mean, that's impressive, man. So I've only lost to Jessica Andrade. Oh, and shit, that was that crazy standing arm triangle choke. Yeah, that was a crazy deal. I don't think that they really train you for how to get out of that. I don't think that that's a thing that people typically do. I think that that standing arm triangle choke is in the same category as that slam, right? Whenever she knocked out old Buzzcut, Rose Namajunas. Even as she was about to slam Namajunas, Dominic Cruz was like, "You can't slam from this position," and then she sends her to the Shadow Realm, right? And you don't typically arm triangle choke somebody while you're standing, and yet she proceeded to do that. So Jessica Andrade finds ways to win in really unique ways because she's a super explosive, super violent human being, and so that's life, man. I'm not too mad at you for losing to Jessica Andrade by way of her being a freak. But she's number 8 in the UFC's strawweight rankings. And so let's see what's happening in strawweight. I mean, Tisha Torres is up there. That's fun. Jan Zainon is fun. Mackenzie Dern is fun. Yeah, I mean, there's fun fights. There's fun fights in strawweight. Ain't no shortage of fun fights in strawweight at all. Moving on, Li Jilang got a TKO over Muslim Salikov. I'm so happy that this fight went this way, man. Li Jilang is such a fun fighter, and Muslim was being not entertaining at all. That would be the way that I would describe the way he was fighting, and I'm very, very happy that Li Jilang got the knockout. He's a funner fighter for me, and I want to see me being entertained, being rewarded in the UFC. And also, when you win, you get rewarded now. And so he's entertaining and won, and so he's going to get the rewards that I would hope an entertaining fighter would get as a winner. Matthew Christopher Schnell submitted Sue Maderji, which this is a fun fight. It's a really, really fun fight. I had a lot of fun with this fight. It's flyweight Shark Tank. Good luck. Shane Burgos got a 3-round decision over Charles Jourdain. Lauren Murphy got a 3-round decision over Misha Tate. Which, man, she beat the shit out of Misha Tate. Man, I'm so sick of seeing Misha Tate get her ass kicked. She's so fine. She does not need to be getting her ass kicked on national TV anymore. I'm sorry. Head movement ain't there. Head's always on the center line, always getting busted up. Just like the bottom line, you know? Always getting busted up. This guy's a lot of fun. Panahele Soriano knocked out Dolce Lungiambula. So sorry that I've had that much trouble saying that man's name. But, so I mentioned him earlier. He is on someone else's resume that we talked about earlier because I don't believe that I was talking about this fight earlier. But Soriano is a fun fighter, man. Those big bombs, big looping punches, real fun, makes all his fights fun, and got the job done. Ricky Simone submitted Jack Shore. I was thinking Jack Shore was going to get it done, but don't pick against Ricky Simone. Really, really, really good skill set. Really, really tenacious. Took the back. There was no stopping him at that point. Bill Algeo TKO'd Herbert Burns. I don't know what happened here. It looked like Albert Burns just gave up. I'm not going to sit here and say someone gave up because they're amazing competitors and they deserve all the respect. But I couldn't see anything really visible that happened. It just seemed like he was really, really exhausted and had went to the ground. And Bill didn't want any part of that and told him to stand up, and he didn't have the strength of will to stand up. And that was that. Dustin Jacoby got a first-round knockout over Jung Da-un, light heavyweight, 18-5 on the come-up. We're going to see. And that's about as far as I'm going to take it on that one. And is that the last one that we're talking about? Nope, we have one more that we're going to talk about. It's Dos Anjos versus Fiziev. I had Rafael picked to win this one. Fucking terrible jokes. Even when, and what's worse is that whenever I text that to my group of guys, no one even got it. But Rafael Fiziev is a beast, 12-1, lots of fun. Love watching him fight. Let's see what his most recent record is looking like. Yeah, so he's only lost one fight in the UFC, and it was his very first fight against Magomed Mustafayev. Fought in M1. Magomed fought in M1 in the UFC. This is back in 2019. It was a TKO to a spinning back kick, and so it was just like some wild shit, which is funny now because Fiziev throws lots of back kicks. So, he's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row in the UFC. Alex White, Mark DeCasey, Renato Moicano, Bobby Green, Brad Riddell. We're talking 1, 2, 3 knockouts, 3 decisions. So fun guy, really fun guy. Yeah, I like watching him fight. I really do. He throws really, really powerful kicks. He's an aggressive guy, and he's number 7 in the lightweight rankings right now, which we all know lightweight's a shark tank. We're gonna see what comes next for him. RDA, he took a hard L. That's life. He's won against Renato Moicano and Paul Felder, which are 2 old heads. Then he had lost to Michael Chiesa and Leon Edwards, who are 2 kind of younger heads. Michael Chiesa's kind of not really young yet anymore. But, first time he's fought a young up-and-comer in a hot minute, and he got pretty effectively smoked. So, I'm not super, super high on him as like a potential future champion. I think he's going to be pretty much stuck at doing some gatekeeping at this point, and I think he's going to make really fun fights. All of his fights are really fun. Next, we had Chao Baralho, got a 3-round decision over Armen Petrosian. Chao's a lot of fun. I really like watching him fight. He's an interesting character. He's got 2 decisions in a row. He also got a TKO over Jesse Murray back in the day. And the last thing I want to talk about is Said Nurmagomedov. Obviously, he's got that name, but don't be mistaken. He likes to kickbox. He's 16-2. His fights are pretty fun. His record in the UFC is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-1. He's won 3 in a row, and he's currently ranked. He's ranked somewhere. He's ranked super high up. Let's see where he's ranked right now, just for the sake of being academic with it. Oh, Said isn't ranked right now. Excuse me. But he's on the come up. And so it'll be fun to see who he gets next. But this one has ran a little longer than I was expecting it to. Obviously had a lot to say today. Really, really excited about going and seeing 277 in person. And I can't wait to report back to you guys on how I feel about it all, as well as taking a thorough look forward at the fights on the horizon between 277 and 278. And again, this is Joshua with Armchair MMA. Thank you guys so much, Armchair Army, for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.